Milana Vayntrub is one of those performers who feels instantly familiar, like someone you've known for years. Her expressive delivery, sharp timing, and warm humor make her presence feel big and inviting, which is why so many people are surprised when they finally learn more about her off-screen. Viewers often build an image in their minds based on energy rather than measurements, and Milana's energy is expansive. When audiences later discover that she stands around 5 feet 3 inches tall, there's a moment of surprise, followed quickly by appreciation. That contrast between expectation and reality is part of what makes her story interesting. It highlights how easily confidence and charisma can shape perception. Milana doesn't rely on physical scale to make an impression. She relies on personality, intelligence, and an unmistakable spark. The result is a performer who feels larger than life, even when the numbers say otherwise. That disconnect is not a trick of the camera alone, but a testament to how presence works. The AT&T era and the birth of a household name. For many people, their first introduction to Milana Vayntrub was through her role as Lily in the AT&T commercials. In a format that usually fades into the background, she stood out immediately. Her delivery felt natural, quick, and grounded, giving the character a real sense of personality rather than a scripted feel. Those ads ran everywhere, and over time, Lily became more than a spokesperson. She became familiar, almost comforting, like a witty friend explaining things with patience and humor. Because commercials often frame actors in controlled close-up shots, viewers focus on facial expressions and voice rather than physical stature. Milana's confidence filled the screen, making her seem tall in presence, if not in height. By the time fans saw her outside that context, the surprise wasn't disbelief, but curiosity. It was a reminder that media shapes perception in subtle ways, and that talent often overshadows physical details completely. When red carpets rewrite expectations. As Milana began appearing more frequently at premieres, events, and red carpets, audiences encountered a new visual context. Surrounded by towering heels, dramatic gowns, and the scale of celebrity events, her petite stature became more noticeable. Yet instead of diminishing her impact, it highlighted her self-assurance. She didn't shrink into the background or try to compensate. She owned her space completely. Her posture, styling choices, and ease in front of cameras conveyed confidence rather than concern. Fans who expected someone taller often did a double take, then smiled. The surprise felt light-hearted, not critical. It underscored how misleading assumptions can be when they're based solely on screen presence. Milana's red carpet appearances became another example of how personality defines visibility. She didn't need height to command attention. She had authenticity, humor, and a clear sense of self, which read louder than any physical measurement ever could. Presence, not proportion, as star power. What truly stands out about Milana Vayntrub is how she carries herself. Presence is an intangible quality, made up of confidence, awareness, and comfort in one's own skin. Milana has it in abundance. Whether she's speaking in interviews, participating in panels, or simply interacting with fans, she radiates ease. That ease makes people lean in. It's the reason many viewers assume she's taller than she is, because presence often gets translated in our minds as physical size. In reality, presence has nothing to do with height and everything to do with how someone shows up. Milana's background in comedy, writing, and performance has given her a strong sense of timing and self-trust. She knows when to speak, when to listen, and how to connect. That ability turns ordinary moments into memorable ones and ensures she never disappears in a crowd, regardless of who's standing next to her. Style choices that amplify confidence. Milana's approach to style is another reason she leaves such a strong impression. Rather than dressing to meet expectations, she dresses to express herself. On red carpets, she often chooses clean lines, thoughtful silhouettes, and colors that complement her personality rather than overpower it. In casual settings, her style feels relaxed and authentic, never forced. These choices communicate comfort and confidence, which viewers subconsciously read as authority. Style, in this sense, becomes an extension of presence. It's not about looking bigger or smaller, but about looking like yourself. Milana's fashion moments spark conversation, not because they chase trends, but because they feel intentional. Fans respond to that honesty. They see someone who isn't trying to be anyone else, and that authenticity resonates deeply. It reinforces the idea that confidence isn't built from comparison, but from self-acceptance and clarity about who you are. Public perception and the power of surprise. The reaction people have when they learn about Milana's height says more about perception than about her. We often associate leadership, humor, or authority with physical traits without realizing it. When someone defies those assumptions, it creates surprise and sometimes delight. Milana's case is a perfect example. Fans don't feel disappointed when they learn she's petite. They feel amused by their own assumptions. That moment of recalibration is healthy. It reminds us that talent and impact are not tied to appearance. In fact, the surprise often deepens admiration. People appreciate her even more for the way she commands attention without relying on physical dominance. The conversation shifts from, "I thought she'd be taller," to, "It's amazing how much presence she has." That shift is important. It challenges outdated ideas and opens space for more inclusive understandings of what confidence and influence really look like. Respectful admiration and natural appeal. Admiration for Milana Vayntrub often centers on how naturally she comes across. Rather than being framed through unrealistic standards, she's appreciated for relatability, intelligence, and warmth. Fans talk about how she looks comfortable in her own skin, how her expressions feel genuine, and how her humor feels kind rather than cutting. This kind of admiration is rooted in respect. It recognizes that appeal comes from authenticity, not perfection. Milana's public image benefits from her willingness to be open, thoughtful, and human. She doesn't present herself as untouchable or distant. That approach invites connection instead of comparison. When people respond positively to her appearances, it's less about physical traits and more about the sense that she's real. In an industry often defined by distance, that relatability becomes a powerful form of influence and a big reason her fan base remains loyal and engaged. Talent beyond a single role. Although many people associate Milana primarily with her commercial work, her career extends far beyond one role. She's acted in television series, films, and web projects, and she's also worked behind the scenes as a writer and director. This range reinforces why focusing on her physical size misses the point entirely. Her contributions are intellectual and creative, not physical. Each project she takes on reflects curiosity and a willingness to explore different perspectives. That versatility adds depth to her public persona. It also explains why she feels so substantial as a performer. When someone brings ideas, humor, and empathy to their work, their presence naturally expands. Milana's career choices show that she values substance over spectacle. That priority resonates with audiences who are hungry for authenticity. It positions her as not just a recognizable face, but a creative voice worth paying attention to. A lasting reminder that size isn't the story. In the end, the fascination with Milana Vayntrub's height fades quickly, replaced by something more meaningful. What stays with people is how she makes them feel. She's funny without being cruel, confident without being loud, and visible without demanding attention. Her petite stature becomes a footnote rather than a headline. The real story is how effectively she reminds us that presence is built from character, not measurements. Milana stands as a quiet challenge to assumptions we didn't even realize we held. She proves that you don't need to be the tallest person in the room. to be one of the most memorable. Confidence, kindness, and authenticity leave a far deeper mark. That's the kind of impact that lasts, long after the surprise wears off. And it's why Milana continues to captivate audiences wherever she appears.